And that's my friend Amelia and my roommate's friend Martha.
Thank you.
Oh man, we might have to. Let's see. Use headphones or something. Let's check. Let's
Are you
check
getting
this audio.
feedback?
What'd you say?
Are you getting feedback?
I don't think so, but I have to just check on the actual Twitch stream. So far, we haven't gotten feedback.
Okay.
I have to do one last little thing, which is to send you guys a few documents, which I have to quickly grab.
Okay, I'm just sending a hello to everyone.
All right. What are you wanted the not empathy examples and the feelings and needs list? Yeah.
It's one sheet and it's front and back.
All right. Let's see.
Or maybe I
Save
sent it.
drive.
I think I sent them in 2
Martha?
sheets.
No, there's 2 sheets. It's.
Did Victoria tell you that this is my mom running this also?
Yeah, she did.
Okay, cool. My mom will be our facilitator.
I'm excited.
Okay, I haven't figured out how to mute us and I need to go pee very
Will
badly.
people be able to see me too, Otis, or no?
Will people be able to see? Yeah, you're going to be sitting here where I'm sitting in just a second.
Okay.
So you can do
Well,
the
I think my
controlling
computer-
of the slideshow and stuff.
It does that sometimes. Oh, no, here we are. Oh, sweat.
Let's see. Cross your fingers that these documents will be able to be shared. Get shareable link. I wish I had figured out how to keep things in the chat because Google does that annoying thing where, oops, where you can't see something if you join afterwards. But I will just send them again if more people come. Alright, those are some little things that'll be helpful if you can open those up. The more important one is the second one,
Feelings and needs.
which is a feelings and needs list.
The empathy of the other one is just for later. The feelings and needs list would be helpful for this workshop.
Yes. Alright.
Or whatever you call it, stream.
And then this is going to go away. And I think everything is mostly good. Maybe, yeah. All right, I think, let me just go outside and just check the audio quickly. If I can find my phone.
Wow, Otis has such a fancy keyboard. Can you guys see me?
Actually, maybe I should give you my normal keyboard so you can see the keys.
All I need to do is figure out how to change the slide.
Here, I'll put mine on. I think you can change the slide by doing this. Clicking in here.
Okay.
If you just click in there, it changes. But
Perfect.
I think you can also do that.
I got it. That's good. That's all I need to know how to do.
All right.
You're gonna check one more tech thing, Otis?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go outside and just make sure the audio is good on the stream.
Hi, Lauren, Martha, May, and Amelia. Do we have anyone else here?
Julia and Victoria are here.
Hi, Julia. Hi, Victoria.
Hi.
Thank you guys all for coming on. I'm excited to share a little bit about empathic listening with y'all. We're going into an interesting time, and empathic listening can be a real gift when you're talking to someone who's stressed out. Can someone on Google Call say something? Otis is saying from outside the cabin.
Hello. Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear us? Check, check, check.
Hi, Twitch.
Okay, this is taking a second
Where's
because
Peter?
dream.
We're good to go.
Okay. Hi, Alice Acciani. That's so
Other
sweet of
people
you to
can
join
watch
us.
via Twitch.
What's Twitch?
It's like a streaming service.
Okay. So, we're gonna just kind of delve into empathic listening. We'll do a little bit about what it is, and then we'll do a group empathy session and practice. And we'll be using an exercise. Every one of you are awesome listeners. It's part of your like birthright that you are an empathic listener. So everything that we're working on today is useful not just for everyday life because you're all awesomely good empathic listeners, but it's really for when you're stuck, right? So when things aren't going the way and you're not making the connections, it can be really helpful.
Here, turn this here. Do you want me to put it over here so you can look
Sure,
at them
whatever
at
you
the
want.
same time?
It can be really helpful to be able to not just unconsciously do empathic listening, but to consciously know some of the core skills of empathic listening, so you can draw on that when you're stuck or when it's a really challenging conversation and you feel like you're in over your head with it. Right now, some of us are in very tiny webs of relationships, holed up with one or two people, but normally we're in a lot of webs of relationships. And my intention for, oops, I'm on the wrong controller, for this thing is to, oops.
You have to click
wanna
back.
move
You have
that
to
one
click
down.
back into this window
Okay.
if you want to move it.
My intention is to give you some skills when your web of relationship feels like this, and in this storyline, you're the fly, all wrapped up and kind of stuck and immobilized. So a little bit about me. I'm mom to Otis and May, and I started getting really into learning nonviolent communication when they were younger to try to have a more fun and better relationship with them. But also, I am a farmer and worked in a lot of like collaborative community, grassroots organizations. And I kept realizing that groups would come to a point where there was all this creativity and great ideas, but people would get stuck in conflicts. And so I wanted to have better ideas about how to work with people as well to do fun things. So this is what this stuff has been useful for me.
If you want to
Oh
change
yeah,
that,
sorry.
You have to.
So, what are the key things that are important to you in order for you to have a happy and satisfying life?
Is this a moment you want to have the feelings and needs list up?
No, not yet.
Okay. Well, if you do, we can put it up on the stream also so people can see it. It's just long.
Okay. So let's take a minute. What really matters? When we ask this question, mostly we get similar answers, right? We can all relate, like we all want to belong and we all want to matter and we all like to be seen and heard, and community is really important. Most of the kinds of things that people would use to answer this question are called universal human needs. And needs are pretty much the heart of empathy. If you have a need for belonging, I can understand you because I also have a need for belonging. Okay. So, probably most of you have heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The first level are like the basic biological needs, going up into personal growth and fulfillment. So, these are the kinds of things that make life sweet for us, our needs.
Here, you know what? This will be easier for you.
We're having a little bit of like techie.
Putting this here, move this over a little bit.
There we go. Okay.
So you can look at that, and then we'll put these guys right over here.
Okay, this is my first stream, FYI, in case you hadn't noticed. Yeah.
Will you let us know if it's a point where you want response? Because I think we all have our microphones muted. So if you're
Yeah.
not asking a rhetorical question, will you let us know?
Yes, I won't want response until I let you know. I'm just giving
Okay,
you
cool.
like kind of like the background, the assumptions.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so oops.
Someone on Twitch chat says congrats on Fawn.
On what?
Fawn says congrats on your first stream.
Oh, thank you, Fawn. All right. My mother, who's 80, had her first Zoom today. It was very cute. So here's a list of a bunch of words for needs. They're all stuff, nice things we all need, ways that we all connect. So needs are what are most important, but our feelings are what lead us directly to our needs. And those we all have easy. We may not. Some people have more or less access to their needs. People have different like leanings, but most of us have some pretty good access to our feelings, either our emotions or our physical sensations. Yeah. Okay.
Switching back and forth is difficult.
Yeah, there's there's a list of feelings. Now, the reason that feelings and needs literacy can help when we're stressed out is that if you were to look inside the brain, neuroscientists, if you took up your hand and made a fist, this is your brain stem, and where your thumb is your lizard brain or your amygdala. And then if you wrap your fingers around that, the fingers right here are your prefrontal cortex. So this is where the prefrontal cortex is where you do all your big picture thinking, your reasoning. It's where you take in new information, you connect the dots, you connect to other people. And your lizard brain is kind of your survival brain. Your lizard brain is literally scanning all the time, saying, take in new information.
Sorry.
Am I safe and do I matter? Right? So what happens when you're stressed or triggered, or like when you're super stressed out, is that you flip your lid. And so instead of your prefrontal cortex regulating your am I safe, do I matter lizard brain, your lizard brain is now kind of running the show. And neuroscientists have discovered a couple things, and we're going to go over 3 of them that help to bring your prefrontal cortex back on when you're stressed out. The first is naming emotions, but naming them in a really nuanced way. Not just saying, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm mad, but really getting a name that really matches the feeling. So that's one thing. The second thing is scoping out to big picture thinking, and that's what we're doing with when we're naming needs. And the third thing is either a real or imagined presence of somebody who really is listening to you. So those are the 3 things that we're working on today. That can help people who are stressed come back to their full capacity. When we're stressed, we're in like tunnel vision and we can't see the big picture. So empathy is built on these 2 components, both feelings and needs. So before we do a little practice on empathy, we're going to talk about what empathy is not. Yeah. So a lot of times when you talk to somebody, maybe you're telling them about something that happened. For instance, I just had my first meeting on Zoom with my family, and
It was hilarious, by the way.
May and Otis were on too. My brother Andy spent a lot of time telling us all of his ideas about how everything was. He's got a very like good, grasp of reality, and he was sharing that all with us. So if I was telling you that and you were listening, a lot of times people would be like, oh, Yeah, one up. My brother. Yeah, my brother does that all the time. Last time I talked to him, he blah, blah, blah. Or maybe advice. Someone might respond with advice saying, oh, you know what you should do? If you just interrupt them and tell them that you have something to say. Lots of times people nod and smile when they're listening to you, right? They just don't want to hear it. Sometimes they diagnose, oh, I think you should see a family therapist with your family and have a conversation about roles in the family. There's this great stuff called blah, blah, blah. Sympathy is something that is often confused with empathy. Sympathy is when you bring the attention back to yourself, right? Oh, I'm really sorry about that. I feel really bad about that. And then it's kind of all about you. Yeah, so are any of these, I'm guessing these are pretty recognizable to you all. They're pretty common. They're pretty common ways that people respond. Let's
People
see.
in the video are nodding, but
People are nodding in the video.
but
Okay.
no one can actually see that on the stream.
So empathy is in its this is a super basic. Are you feeling frustrated with your brother Andy because you would also like other members of the family to have a chance to be heard? That would be like a super basic empathic response. Okay. So we're going to move into empathic listening. May is shaking her head. May, do you have something you want to say?
May, whose mic is muted, do you have something that you
It's just a little weird for us because we can't see you or see what you're seeing. So it's like
really? Wait.
Well, you can watch the you can watch the stream if you want to. Maybe we need to go into present mode for you guys.
Wait. You can't see the screen?
No.
Here we go.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Otis.
I didn't put it into present mode. Sorry, guys.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Can you see it now?
No.
No, you can't see it now.
Okay, I thought you were looking at the screen the whole time I'm talking to you.
It's okay. I mean, like in our household, we have our rock cards out.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
We're all okay, but you know, it's just the
Okay.
This
particular screen is really cute.
Let's see.
Just saying.
Present mode. Huh?
Should we put the Twitch on?
Yeah, probably if you can. That was what I was thinking, but make sure it's muted.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well at least
because it seems like present mode is not exactly.
We're just gonna keep doing the same thing.
Okay, I can also modify what I'm saying now that I know that you can't see the screen and I can, because I think you're looking at this cute little picture.
Well, the Twitch people are looking at this picture, but these people are not looking at the picture.
Okay, I'm so sorry. May, thank you for that feedback. All right.
Oops.
So, yeah. So much for my really cute PowerPoint, guys.
No, Claudia, the PowerPoint is going into the recording. These guys also are not in the recording.
Okay.
Because we don't want to just be broadcasting people who didn't consent to have their selves in a recording.
Yeah, I get it. So empathy. The key thing about empathy is it's about the speaker, not about us, right? So you're resting your awareness with whatever's going on for the speaker. And it's following versus leading, right? So you're following the energy of whatever the person is talking about. You're not trying to take them anywhere. You're not trying to give them any advice. You're not trying to layer in your own understanding or interpretation. And you're looking just for connection. So you're trying to create connection. The 4 elements of empathy that we're going to kind of play with today are presence, silent empathy, understanding meaning, and needs guessing. So, and people are naturally good at some of these, and then being able to practice the ones that aren't really natural to you are kind of fun. Presence, that's emptying your mind of thoughts and feelings. Resting your awareness and your listening and attention on the speaker. So there are different people that are really great listeners and do this really naturally. Silent empathy. So that's just sort of listening to somebody. You're still quiet. You're listening to whatever the heart of the matter is for them. You may be listening for or guessing their feelings and needs, whether they're telling you feelings or not. You're reading emotional cues and making some just guesses in your mind. And you're also listening kind of to what you think they might be specifically wanting or requesting. So that's silent empathy. And then understanding meaning. This is a moment where you might be reflecting back to the speaker what you think they're saying, and you're trying to reflect it back in a way that you think they would like to be heard. And it's from their perspective. You want to honor their subjective frame of reference and experience. And it doesn't mean that you agree or disagree, but it's just a chance to recap what you think that they're saying and to be able to reflect back, understanding, again, in a way that they would want to be understood. You might reflect back some of the person's thoughts, and those thoughts are observing the person, or you're reflecting back those thoughts not because you're confirming them, but because you're observing with the person their thoughts about the situation. And then the final thing is feelings and needs guessing. You're reflecting back any feelings they might have said or needs that you hear the person expressing. You might guess and translate thoughts and feelings to the needs that you're sensing underneath. When we're reflecting back feelings or needs, if the person hasn't specifically mentioned them, we're always making a guess, right? We can never, everybody's internal experience is so unique. So out of respect, we're always making a guess about someone's feelings. We're always making a guess about someone's needs. And the guess is really not about getting it right. Or being right. It's really a guess as a form of an invitation. If you're upset about something and I'm like, are you sad? And then you're like, no, I'm not sad, I'm angry, right? Usually people will respond to a guess if you get it wrong with more information. So we're making guesses about their feelings and needs more as an invitation and also as a form of respect. Otis, how are we doing the participation part of this now?
Well, we'll ask people if anybody has something they want to talk about, or if not, then maybe I can come up with something.
Okay, so so I want to do this practice in an exercise, and I thought we could do it as a group. It would be, and we would go through. I would lead you through practicing these. We would do presence, silent empathy, reflecting back, understanding, and then some needs guesses. And what I would need is one person who would be willing to talk for 6 minutes about something challenging that you have going on. I would say in terms of emotional level, it should have some kind of charge for you. Probably on a scale to 1 to 10, it should be like a 3 or a 4. Don't pick like something that has a 10, just because we're live streaming and it might take a little bit longer. So pick something you have a little charge on. Anybody willing to do that? And then I would lead the rest of the group in, we would do 1 minute of presence, just sitting with the person, listening. We would do 1 minute of silent empathy. And that would be just starting to listen for feelings, needs, and listening kind of to the heart of the matter. And then we would take a couple people reflecting back, or someone reflecting back, depending on how many parts someone wants to reflect back, but reflecting back, understanding to the person. And the person, if also the reflecting back, understanding is an invitation, right? If you didn't get it or you didn't get some really important part of it, the person will probably re-say it. That's just what happens, because people like being heard, and if it's not exactly how they want to be heard, they'll let you know by giving you more information. And then finally, we do some needs guessing. Do I have anyone who might be willing to be the speaker? And then I invite everyone else to be a listener.
I mean, we could try to do one ourselves first if you wanted to, and then see if anybody else wanted to do one afterwards. But the main thing that was on my mind, I already have talked to you about, and it has a lot of emotional charge for me, which I'm thinking might be too much emotional charge. I'm trying to think of, do you remember anything else that I talked to you about recently that I was...
No, but we could talk about that. Let's go, but could you take one part of it?
I can talk, I don't know, for 6 minutes. I could talk about something that's like not very charged, just about like roommate tension. We're all together.
That sounds great and very relevant for the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so
for 6 minutes?
Well, we're gonna. Okay, so it's gonna really be. You need to talk for 2 minutes straight.
Okay.
So the first minute, this group of us is gonna be practicing presence, and that's suspending all judgment, not worrying about what she's saying. A lot of times, people will focus on breath when they're trying to have presence. But just being with Amelia for 1 minute as we hear about whatever's going on for her. And I'm gonna time for us, and I'll instruct us through it. And then for the second minute, Amelia, you're gonna keep talking, and we're gonna listen with an ear towards what's really going on for you, the heart of the matter. Now we're letting our thinking go a little bit more, and we're thinking about what your feelings and needs might be. And then we're gonna have one member of the group reflect back understanding, or maybe multiples, and then we'll do some collective needs guessing. May's
raising her hand.
Can I just request that we do pronouns also before we do the part where we're talking back?
Yep. Pronouns. She, her is what I am. Pronoun.
What is?
He, they.
Okay, I'm May. I use she, they pronouns.
Victoria, she, her, hers.
Julia, she, her, hers.
Amelia, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'm Amelia. I use she, her, hers pronouns.
Martha?
I'm Martha. I use she, her.
Okay, and Lauren?
I'm Lauren. I go by she, her.
Okay, I don't know if anyone else who's on here.
Okay.
I don't think there's anyone else on here.
May, thank you for jumping in to facilitate that. I appreciate that. Okay. All right. So everybody get comfortable for a second. And you're going to practice listening to Amelia. Just presence. Let's give her presence. Suspend judgment. Suspend thoughts. We're ready, Amelia. Let's hear about your roommate situation.
Okay. My roommate is really awesome and I love him, but being in a space with him all the time has become it gets challenging at times, and especially he's an outdoors boy and it's been raining, and so today he's kind of been like walking around the apartment and like sighing very loudly, which is so that's his own thing, but it's just sort of bizarre to like, because our apartment's so small and I just don't really know if it's like if he's asking something of me, and I feel like I did the dishes very quickly because I was like, what if he's crying really loudly because I didn't do the dishes from my breakfast this morning, or like something like that, because I think being in such a small space and just with each other all the time, I don't know, I just
Okay, Amelia, we're going to pause there for 1 second.
Yeah.
Everyone, so now we're going to shift to practicing silent empathy. So we're listening to Amelia and we're trying to start putting some word guesses just in our mind as to some of the feelings and needs that might be going on for her as she's having this experience. All right, Amelia, so we're going to talk for another minute.
Oh, Jack is coming into the call.
Hi, Jack. Jack,
Hello.
we're doing the elements of empathy exercise, and we're just about to listen to the second minute of Amelia's challenge, and we're practicing silent empathy, starting to guess some of the feelings and needs that she might be having right now. So you can just jump in and join us with that.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
So yeah, I don't know. I guess it just makes me nervous because sometimes when he does want something from me, he'll do a similar thing where he doesn't really say, but he just is sort of like not his really enthusiastic self. And it's hard to tell if he's just having a hard day because we have to be stuck inside, or if it's like something that he's needing from me. Or like, yeah, so it's hard to tell. And he's just been walking around the house sort of sighing and feeling a little bit sad and not really wanting to talk about it. And it's just, yeah, sort of challenging when I have to coax it out of him all the time. So yeah, I think we're just sort of adjusting as we like, and our other roommate left, so it's just the two of us now, which doesn't happen very often. So I think there's some tension there as it's raining out.
Okay, Amelia, so we're going to pause you there. And I'm wondering if people would be willing to help reflect back about the situation. I can start, and then people can add on other things that they heard. Amelia, I heard that you're feeling a little bit nervous and that you're cooped up with the coronavirus with your roommate. There used to be 3 of you. Now there's 2 of you. And your roommate has some energy and you're not sure how to interpret it right now, today. What else
Can I reflect
yeah,
some things
Otis
back?
wants to reflect some things
I sense in there that you have some concern about the health or well-being of your roommate, and you're having some of your worry or difficulty around this situation is coming from your care for this person and trying to identify if they need something, which can be really hard when they're not communicating. So you're maybe experiencing some difficulty around that.
It sounds
And
like
wait, hold on. And Amelia, feel free if one of us is reflecting back and it's not quite there, just to add adjustments. Okay, because what we really want to do is understand you. So when you're making an understanding guess, when you're reflecting back understanding, it's also an invitation to hear more. So if you feel compelled to chime in, just do so.
Okay. Yeah, I think I definitely like my care for him is a part of it, but I think it's also whether or not he's looking for something from me, like if he needs more space from me or for me to like get out of the house for a minute, so that he can like have time to process whatever's happening. I don't know. So I think it's more about like it's hard for me to tell how I should react. I don't know.
Yeah, and you're wanting to make sure you don't overstep any sort of boundaries that might be there that he's needing right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else want to reflect back some of what they've heard?
I was just going to add that it seems like you have some uncertainty surrounding that communication. And yes, like a want to be respectful, but not knowing entirely how to do that or how your roommate is going to establish that communication with you.
Yeah.
So is this a time when the feelings and needs things would be helpful to have?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Is there one more piece of understanding the story that anyone wants to reflect back, or shall we move into some feelings and needs guesses.
I think it might be reinstating also kind of what May was talking about. This is Lauren, but I'm sensing on your part hesitation maybe to approach your roommate, even though you know that there's something wrong, and I'm not sure if I'm reading that right.
Yeah, I think that's true. Just because sometimes he does want to talk about things, and sometimes it upsets him more when you like try to bring it. You try to be like, "Hey, what's up? Like, what's up with you today?" Because sometimes he just wants like space, but can't really say that. So
Okay,
it's
so
hard
let's
to-
go to the feeling sheet. So let's move to the fourth part of this exercise, which is some feelings and needs guesses. Some of the things that have already been brought up were nervous, hesitation. I think Otis is putting up a feeling sheet.
I also sent it to you guys in the Google Drive. For some reason, it's not opening up nicely in here, but we can look at it like this.
Okay. So, but I mean, we all know feelings words. So
Well,
a couple.
I mean, they have it, and they
Oh,
can't see it unless they're on the Twitch. They can see it, but y'all have it. It's the second link. I'm pretty sure, unless maybe Jack doesn't have it, I'll paste it again in here for everyone. You could be able to see it there.
Okay, so who wants to make a couple more feelings guess? So, are you feeling? And it would be like this, Amelia. Are you feeling worried or uncomfortable? And you can just say no, not so much, or maybe a little bit, or whatever. You can just respond. That's a guess.
I guess uncomfortable might be inappropriate, just because being in this space, I don't know where to go, and so I
Okay.
sort of move myself to my room. But yeah, like
Okay.
uncomfortable, probably.
Are you feeling edgy or like on edge? Or do you feel like both of you are on edge?
I don't think we're both on edge, but probably on edge would be a good way to describe. Just because sometimes, it can change. His mood can change, so I get nervous about like making him feel worse. So I have to like tiptoe what I'm doing. Be very careful. So yeah, good one, Victoria.
Thanks.
What about overwhelmed?
I don't know about overwhelmed.
Okay.
It doesn't feel very like confrontational. I guess, or like it's just more like consistent undercurrent.
Yep.
It doesn't
Okay.
feel like.
Are you feeling impatient at all? Like impatient to have that conversation?
Good question. I think, yeah, sometimes I do feel impatient for like, yeah, just for him to tell me what he needs.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you feeling violent, Amelia?
No.
Okay, let's move on to guessing some needs. So I think there's a sheet on here that has the needs too. And
do you guys all open up your feelings and needs sheets? Can you see them?
Okay.
Okay.
So let's make some needs guesses. I'm gonna start with guessing balance.
Guessing what?
Balance? A need for a little balance?
Oh. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I guess that does make, just because sometimes when he is sort of walking around the space sighing very loudly, balance in terms of it feels like less of my space, I guess.
Okay.
Even though it's also my home. It feels very much like he's sort of conducting the way that, I don't know, or like I should also feel very sad in his space when it's
when I don't have to. I don't know.
I'm gonna guess. I mean, I think this is kind of an easy guess, but communication. I feel like there's definitely a need for communication here, and that can be really hard when you're really needing communication and someone is not really willing to participate in that.
Yes, definitely. Sometimes it makes him more upset to have to explain himself, which is difficult.
I'm guessing calm because and ease because it sort of feels like the sighs are like tension building, or at least it feels like that, or it sounds like that when you say it.
Yeah, just being able to like feel at ease being in the common space rather than just my room. If he's
Is there also maybe sorry. Is there also maybe a need for like collaboration or maybe partnership since there's only 2 of you in this house and you're kind of like together for this?
To think about. I guess more consistently, yes. Because there are when he's really happy, he's really like, let's watch this movie together. Like, let's make a plan. Like, let's think about what we're gonna do today. But then if he like that can change very quickly and it becomes very like separate. So, yeah.
It sounds like you have a need for humor or just like joy. Like these times can be somber, but like you want to have fun. Be a bit boring.
Yes, definitely. Need for joy.
Sounds like also understanding. Like it sounds like you're also just really wanting to understand what's going on with your roommate.
Yeah. I guess in the other side of that too is that like I don't know, like I'm thinking about the way that how he's feeling and like what his day is like, and maybe he's not thinking about the way that makes him walking around sighing very loudly makes me feel, or like the way that his actions, yeah, impact me.
Maybe reciprocity, Ben.
Okay. Amelia, how does it feel to be listened to in this way? Do you like it?
Yes, I do. It's great. I feel like I like to hear what I'm saying reflected back from other people. It's very helpful for me. I don't know.
How about other people? Did anyone enjoy listening to Amelia like this?
Everyone in the video chat is nodding their heads right now. For the people on Twitch who can't see.
Okay. I'm wondering if we
and the people on Twitch chat also are saying yes.
Wow.
I'm wondering if we want to try another round together with somebody else talking about a challenge they're experiencing. Anyone have willingness? Otis is willing if no one else is willing, I think. Or
I'm
he
willing.
was before.
I'm willing. Mine is just I'm pretty emotionally stirred up about it still, so it might go on for a long time.
Well,
I don't know who's watching right now.
We're doing a 6-minute exercise, so it can't go on for too long. But in a if you were sitting with someone who was emotionally stirred up, you might be going back and forth. Like this thing is an exercise that we're doing, but it's to demonstrate the different parts, the different entrance points of this kind of listening, right? So you might start with reflecting back, and then they might go on a long rant. You might do some presence, right? Just to get connected and stay present. And then you might make some feelings and needs guesses, and that might bring up more stuff. And then you might go back to reflecting some understanding. One of the things that I'm just recapping a few things. One of the things that happened when we reflected back some understanding, At some point, Amelia gave Otis a slight correction to something he reflected back, and she gave more information, or she changed it. She just made sure. And when someone does that, when you reflect back understanding, your next step is always to reflect it back again, right? Reflect back whatever else they told you, because a lot of times there's something important in that, right? So if you recap something and then they either give you more information or they add nuancing, then that's a good reason to reflect that back again. And in terms of the guessing, you can kind of see with Amelia when something's kind of landing or not landing, right? But she is like, no, it's not so much like that, and then she gives more information, or not. But you can kind of also see on her face where she's like, oh yeah, I feel heard. And in any situation, we have a whole range of emotions, but you're kind of looking to listen and to reflect back emotions. You really want to see a couple things really land so that the person really feels like you got them. Okay, so does anyone want a little empathy? Group empathy? And
I can do one if you'd like.
okay,
Sorry.
so we're gonna do this.
I don't want to take away from Otis's. Sounds like he has.
No, I think I would like to avoid doing it if possible. But if we have enough material, but I'll be there if we wanna go into something a little bit more heavy at the end.
Okay, so wait, Jack. Yeah. I just want to, because you came in late, I want to remind you what my request of you would be to facilitate this kind of group process. You're gonna speak for 2 minutes straight about some challenge or something that's happening. And the first minute, the group is gonna sit with and practice presence. The second minute, we're gonna sit quietly and practice silent understanding. And then after that, we'll do some reflecting back of the situation. We'll reflect back understanding. We'll do that as a group. And then the fourth step would be some feelings and needs guessing.
Sure.
All right. And before we do that, I have one other question, which is, would you guys be opposed to me putting video of you onto the stream? Because I can do that really quickly. Is that okay? Is everybody else here okay with that? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll use my problems in vague terms.
All right, then we're gonna do a little bit.
We'll give Otis a technical moment.
Sure. This is perfect because I'm going to go grab my charger. I'll be back in 20 seconds. Sorry.
Will it come down nicely if we do this? Will it take up any more space? Not really.
What is that?
What?
Oh, that's Jack's space. I see a flag.
Okay, I've returned.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to time you, Jack. I'm going to interrupt you after the first minute to instruct everybody, just so no one has to think in advance. Okay. You ready, Jack? So the first minute, everyone listening, our listeners are practicing presence. Empty your mind of thoughts and feelings, and just rest your awareness and listening attention on Jack, our speaker. Some people do this. You want to have awareness of yourself and awareness of the words Jack is saying, but you don't have to start thinking about them yet. Some people just focus on their breath and on listening. Okay, go ahead, Jack.
I mean, it's not that in-depth of a problem, but I'm just thinking about how I can be a better friend to one of my friends. They keep on having moments of, like, paralysis in which they don't necessarily know how to process emotions in that moment. And kind of two things happen. One is where I try to help or facilitate a conversation, and that doesn't necessarily happen like I wish it would, because they're like they're freaking out at that moment, which probably isn't fair on my part. And the second part is that they tend to get defensive and can be not hurtful in those moments, but very closed off and cold, which, I, as a person who constantly is trying to validate, whether it be through verbal or nonverbal communication, like, oh, hey, I'm here for you, and et cetera, it can be really difficult to continue a conversation with them until they're ready to come around. And then by the time they are ready to come around, they tend to like solve the problem in their head, but the problem never really feels solved. It still lingers a little bit until it comes back again, and then the communication shuts off.
Okay, so Jack, take a pause there. We're
Yeah.
switching now to silent empathy. So we're really listening to the heart of the matter for Jack. We're listening for or guessing any feelings or needs in our mind, and we're kind of starting to wonder what Jack might be wanting or requesting. And Jack, you're just continuing to talk for 1 minute.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the breadth of the problem doesn't really go much deeper than that. I definitely, I think I feel frustrated when I'm not able to help the people that I want to help, and that might be a problem with me. And sometimes it feels really easy for me to blame them and saying that they're not very good at communicating or they're not doing this right. And it feels like in that moment very like, oh my god, this is a wall that we've reached and we'll never be able to overcome this. But I mean, obviously that falls away, and in reflection, I never really feel good about how I handle the moment because I don't feel like I'm giving them my full empathy, because it's kind of this moment of like they're in paralysis and then I become in paralysis where I'm like, I can't help you, so I'm not going to help at all. And I feel really apathetic towards them until I'm like, okay, until you remove yourself from the situation you feel. Yeah, and I don't like to be that way.
Okay, so let's take a pause there, Jack.
Yeah.
Wondering if some people would be willing to reflect back some of that. You don't have to reflect back all, but some parts of it. Let's get some reflection.
I'm hearing that in this relationship or in your consideration of your the way that you handle this relationship, that you're experiencing some difficulty and frustration and having a hard time dealing with someone who gets triggered, and the way that affects you. You feel like it's really easy for yourself to get into a triggered state when you're with this person, or when you're with this person in these specific moments. Does that sound like accurate?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a moment of frustration. Absolutely. I think that's a good word to kind of encompass it. Yeah.
Can anyone else reflect back something that they heard?
I'm hearing that you're frustrated because it sounds like you really want to be able to help your friend, but that you are not sure of the best way to do that. And it sounds like you are looking for ways to be able to do that. It also sounds like in the moment, if you don't know the right way to do it, it sounds like it can also be very scary to you in that moment.
Yeah, I think adding the word scary to it is good. I mean, I don't think it's like fearful, but it's definitely like, because you worry about the people that you love, so you're like, oh, I'm scared for you. It's this weird mixture of like feeling very empathetic, but at the same time very apathetic, if that makes sense. Of like, I need to help you, but there's no way I can. So the best way for me to do that is to feel nothing. When I don't want to get to that second stage. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Do you feel like there's some overwhelm that comes between those two stages, and like the overwhelm of the emotions that you're feeling, or the like helplessness that's going on, is kind of like, then you get to a point where you sort of like shut off your experience of that and take some distance.
Yeah, I don't know if overwhelmed is the right emotion. I think it's kind of the opposite of that. It's like I see someone overwhelmed, and then on the reverse side of that, I'm like try to be as calm as possible to like counteract the overwhelmed emotion. But you said something on the second part of that, Otis, that I
Um,
read.
a
Sorry.
feeling like having helplessness come up, which then um, sort of like brings up the need to take some space, take like to step back from that situation, so that helplessness is not so prominent.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Space is a big one.
Okay, so helplessness is a feeling guess. So we're moving a little bit into guessing feelings and needs, I think. Um, I'm One of the things that I'm gathering is that you very much want to be able to make a contribution to the well-being of this friend, and that you value the friendship.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the part of not being sure how to make a contribution is painful to you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, I feel like we live in such a I don't want to say society, but we live in such. I mean, I think it's habitual to see a problem and then try to fix it. Um, and I guess it's learning how to take like that space, like Otis said, but do it constructively, where I'm taking space away from the problem to allow them to assess it themselves, but do it in a way that feels supportive. I don't know.
Um, okay, so feelings and needs guesses.
But for myself,
No, other
Do we
people.
want to start out with
Yeah,
feelings?
yeah, let's start with feelings. Some feelings guesses. Are you confused? You said frustrated. Confused about how to best approach the situation.
I
Wanting
don't know if it's
understanding.
confused.
Not confused. Okay. Troubled.
No. Yeah, I could say troubled,
Okay.
but less so with them and more so myself.
Okay. Yep. So troubled by your own response. What other guesses do we have out there?
Are you maybe feeling torn? Like torn between self-care and care for this person?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like that's always a dynamic that goes on with any kind of relationship. And at times I feel like I am really available to listen and to be a source of comfort, but at the same time, like in order for me to empathize with them in that moment, it takes a lot out of me, and sometimes it's easier just to be like, I can't. I'm sorry, like I have to step away. Which I don't know. I wish. No, maybe.
Numb. Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
May just held a card up that said no.
Okay.
Numb.
What? Anybody else got a needs guess?
I was going to maybe guess the word reluctant.
Okay. Just as like a reluctant to help. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess reluctance kind of stems from like a defense that you feel yourself of like, oh, I need to not do this right now, so I'm reluctant to jump into it, especially because I know that in 10 minutes it'll all be okay. Yeah, maybe.
How about, is this a lonely feeling? Like when you're having this experience? The specific
No, I wouldn't
experience?
say lonely.
No.
I think
Okay.
it's the opposite of lonely. Like, it's like, I don't know if it's, yeah, maybe lonely in the sense that it's like, I don't know, I'm trying to think. Like, sure, it's lonely in the sense that like when you're trying to connect with someone and they don't meet you in that
Yeah.
connection, that can feel lonely.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that the whole situation feels lonely.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
Okay,
Is
maybe.
there
Oh, go ahead.
is there a part of that interaction that's vulnerable though? Is that a feeling that comes up at all?
Not so much for me, but if I had to guess on how they're feeling, it's very vulnerable. And sometimes they'll express that to me, but very intensely. Um, and like, how do I make them feel less vulnerable? I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, how about let's try to guess some needs that might be going on for you in this situation. The ones that I guessed so far was that that seemed like it resonated, at least before when I guessed it, was something about really wanting to contribute to your friend's well-being. So care.
Yeah.
What does May have there? What do you got, May?
Contribution.
Contribution. Okay, she's got contribution. What else?
Yeah, of course.
What
of course.
Other...
I mean, we all want to contribute to our friends' health and prosperity. Yeah. And I think in that moment, it's like, I can't contribute to that, and that's really frustrating. Definitely. Definitely with a need for contribution, absolutely.
And wanting connection.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I don't really know what that word means, May.
May's holding up
Is there anything about wanting competence, as in like, because it seemed like there was a part where you were talking about kind of feeling unsure about your own skill to be able to respond, and maybe having a little bit of judgment about your own ability to respond or the way that you're responding, right. Which maybe points to like maybe you have a need for competence or like, yeah, something around that realm.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a really good feeling when a friend comes to you and you're able to like talk through their problems with them. And yeah, there's definitely a lack of competence, a new word I've just learned. When you're not able to give them that. So yeah, absolutely.
Somebody in the Twitch chat guessed acknowledgement.
Yeah, that's a really good word. Just to like just some acknowledgement that like, okay, I'm here. Because I guess I am putting myself there to be like a source of stability in a moment that might not feel stable. But I guess like we can empathize with the feeling of like they're not even worried about handling, or to be trying to empathize with that with me, because they're dealing with their own things. So I get it. I get why I don't necessarily feel acknowledged, but yeah, I would like to feel acknowledged. Like, that would be nice. Yeah.
Jack, how does it feel to be listened to like this?
I feel very vulnerable.
Yeah.
Which is very nice, and I appreciate you guys all giving me the space to do that. I feel warm. I feel loved. I feel like I've been able to process something that's been very frustrating for me. And I feel like I've been able to like gain a different perspective, which I feel like when I approach this problem again, if I have to, I'm gonna be able to do it in definitely a more empathetic way, which makes me feel happy. So yeah.
How about how do people enjoy listening to Jack through this lens? We're getting head nods.
Yeah.
Yes. I definitely enjoyed it.
Otis, thank you.
I feel like I had a part of my initial response was definitely going into sympathy and like feeling the relating some of that back to experiences that I have had and am familiar with, and so I went there first before I was able to get into a more empathetic mindset, I think.
Awesome.
I'm
Do you want to go back onto the slides now?
yeah. I'm mindful that it's
What you're saying?
6 o'clock, so we've been on for a little bit. I just want to just again reinforce that these are all skills, and you can practice any of these skills. And like, it's like lifting weights, for instance. If you're not great at sitting with someone in presence, you can practice that. You can get a lot better at it, right? You can practice both with yourself, self-empathy, matching feelings and needs. I'm really angry. What do I need, right? Take out the needs list and make it a match. You can practice matching those things up. You can practice listening with that lens to your friends when they're talking. Wonder what you're feeling, wonder what you're needing. You can practice recapping. Some people are really good at recapping. Someone can say something for like 20 minutes and then they can recap and get every single item on the list.
That's one that I'm really bad at. I'm not that
Yeah.
good at recapping.
Yeah, you can get really good at recapping just by practicing, and no one even needs to know that you're practicing. So these are all like pieces that you can play with. It can be really beneficial and helpful, especially during stressful times, to be able to offer the gift of listening or being, and it feels great to be listened to. So that's pretty much all I wanted to offer you guys. Yeah, and just also that the main thing is that empathy is a learnable skill. It's a communication choice, and that you can get better at empathic listening with practice. So thank you, everybody. This was my first stream. We got off to a rocky start, but I think we did okay.
Yeah, I think I learned some things that are important. If we do this again, Claudia said that she had multiple sessions of this that are possible to do, and if people are interested in that, we could either do it again as a Babycastles stream, or if we want to just do it, if we don't feel like it's appropriate in this venue, then we can do it again as like a small skills thing. I guess we can think about that in the future.
I have 3 little lessons that kind of link nicely together. The next one is using kind of the same skills, but to work on working through a conflict. And then the third one is the art of the request. So working with others to make requests and to around meeting your needs. So if anyone's interested in that, let Otis know, and we can do that some evening, because we all have plenty of time right now, or some of us do. Anyway, take care of yourselves. Thanks for showing up. That
Thank
was
you all
really
for
sweet.
coming. Thanks Twitch chat for tuning
Thank you,
in.
Claudia.
People in the
Thank
Twitch
you,
chat
Otis.
are telling you
Thank
thank you
you.
also.
Thank you guys.
Thank you to Amelia and Zach for sharing also.
Exactly. I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
May, thank you for your little co-facilitation too.
Bye, everybody. Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, are we off?
Not yet, but we're about to be.
Okay, I think we did okay.
All right, thanks guys. Remember that you can subscribe with your Twitch Primes to Babycastles Twitch, or you can also go to this link.
Otis, also, if anybody wants to look at the webinar, because
This
they
link
didn't get to see it,
to they got to see it.
Oh, they did.
To go to this link to become a member of Babycastles, and you can support the local artists by making a recurring monthly payment. Thank you very much. See you next time. I think our next stream is a little bit later this evening, there's going to be some gameplay, I'm pretty sure. Take care.